Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about new Chanel makeup, and I'm super excited because there have been quite a few launches from Chanel. We have the summer 2022 collection, and we also have some new skincare and makeup from their Camellia line. So the first product we're going to be talking about is the Red Camellia Revitalizing Cream. This is a beautiful, beautiful item from the new launch, and I'm actually going to use this as a primer today. This is absolutely insane. Like, it has a really giant logo on the cap, and then on the inside you see it's almost like a rich red color. I'm like, the cream can't be red, right? Like, I'm crazy. No, it's just like a red tub inside. This has got to be one of the most gorgeous tubs I have ever seen. I really do love the logoing on the cap. I think it's gorgeous. I do want to start off with the primer, so let's pull our hair back here, and as you guys know, I do have my brows microbladed. They're getting to the point where they're kind of flaky and a little crusty. They're intact, but they're starting to shed, so it's going to be an interesting experience for that part of things, my least favorite part, but I'm excited to see how they turn out. So it does have that smell. It is a distinct floral smell for sure, but I was kind of expecting that given that it's the Camellia line. I was expecting some fragrance here, so fragrance aversive gals, this is going to be significant. This is, I think, meant to be skincare as well, but I am going to use this to prepare the skin because it does say on Chanel's website that you can actually use this as a primer as well. So I am going to be using that other purpose of it to make sure my canvas is nice and moisturized. Super excited to test the Chanel products today because I feel like doing a full face of Chanel is something I don't do typically that much on my channel, but I really do enjoy their makeup. It's definitely more on the classic style. It's not so much pigment forward makeup typically. It's very embracing your natural beauty and just doing those soft hues, like the kiss of color. So next I'm going to be doing my eyes. I will be testing this new quad out, but I'm going to prime first with the Smashbox 24-hour primer. And I'm just going to put a little bit on each lid here, moisturize it in immediately. I do think it's one that can kind of lightly gather into a crease line. So even though this is one of my favorites, I still like to moisturize it, apply and moisturize pretty quickly. Does not take very long to set at all, so it's going to be a few minutes max. This is the new quad. So this is the number 747 Mediterranean. It is in French. I will not attempt that French. Every time I speak French, it sounds completely horrible. This is the quad we're going to be testing today. And it comes with these doe foots. You know, every single Chanel quad, man, it comes with these little guys still. And I know it's for a very particular makeup user to use these on the go, so I'm not going to knock it too much, but I'm going to use either fingertips or brushes for this for sure. So whenever I pick up a Chanel product for the first time, I see if it's glitter heavy, pigment heavy, and that's going to give me an idea what type of brush to use. You really have to adapt when it comes to things like this because typically Chanel, they don't have a ton of pigment forward. Like I said, it's a very soft color story typically, and it's also soft when it comes to translation on the lid. You can see this definitely has some color behind it. There's definitely some metallic shimmer as well. There's some kick up in this one too. This is also a fairly fluffy brush, right? So we're gonna pick up that pigment and kind of send it airborne a little bit because the pigment is fairly packed tight into the pan itself. It's the same consistency that Chanel's known for, that really gorgeous soft kiss or that soft hue. They are meant to be layered as well. That's what I find. If you are somebody that's more so wanting a pigment forward look, expect to layer these types of products. For so much shimmer as well, I don't see any fallout on my face. So very impressive, Chanel. This is a heavy shimmer metallic, but in a nice way. It's not like a chunky look. Very surprised nothing is falling on my face right now. I'm going to pick up the second color now just to add a little bit of depth. This is definitely darkening it, you can see. Adding more of a bronze, kind of a bronze look overall, hey? It's a little bit more bronzy brown. This has the exact same finish though. It's also a metallic. And the brush I'm using for this, I'm going to use a combination. This is the Wingloss number 18, I'm also going to use some REPHR as well because I do love both of these brushes. The quality is neck and neck in my opinion with both of these brands. Either or will do really, really well. I'm using for these shades just like a very traditional fluffy blending brush for both, and I'm layering over top of each other. You could even just leave it right here. You can see this is kind of like, if you add liner, if you add lashes, this is going to look really like golden goddess. Like you can just leave it here. But for the sake of testing more shades, I'm gonna add some more depth yet. So I'll show you kind of what I've been doing. I started with this shade here, the second one, all over the lid. It gave me that light champagne color, and then I went all over with this one in the bottom left side of the quad. So you can see, I mean, there's slight distinction between them for sure. They do add some nice depth to each other, but when you actually see them in the pan, the shades don't look that different, but they actually do translate enough for you to warrant putting on the second color if you would like. This next brush, I'm going in with the REPHR number 2, and we're gonna add some depth. I'm gonna actually use my small mirror for this so I can really see what's going on. So this is kind of like a greeny color. It almost looks like an army green. Same metallicness though, so I do feel like it works. You can see it does have a significant depth added to that edge. So this is actually a really nice color to smoke out. Got that nice buildability. I would say buildability goes to about a medium opacity. And after that, like, look how easy this is. This is super easy just to make a really beautiful look. It's called Mediterranean. I actually think that's really appropriate for this one because this one has some similar tones to countries I visited that are along Mediterranean. Isn't like Greece one of them? Like I feel like this is very like, look at the olive green, like olives. We have really nice golden tones. I don't know. They named this well. This is another look that you can just leave right here as well. What I'm gonna do is just do a little bit of light buffing along the outer edge of things just to make sure that nothing is too stark. This is the Sigma Diffused Crease, and this is one that is fluffy. It's a really nice synthetic bristled brush as well. And what I like to do is just kind of go over the outer edge there and just sort of buff out, make it nice and airbrushed. Sometimes I get a little carried away and it looks a little bit too stark. So I like to just do this. Does seem to soften it a little bit. It's not like a miracle worker, but it's enough to make it look a little bit more airbrushed. So the last color in this quad is actually this one. It's in the top row on the left side. And this is one that sort of is kind of like, I would say it's kind of taupey, metallic, taupey, a little bit of like a gray kind of color. So I'm trying to think where I should put this guy. Either I put it on the bottom lid, but I'm thinking I kind of want to smoke a little bit more, smoke out. That sounded so bad. I am not a smoker, okay? I think I want to put a little bit more of that green on the lower lash lines. Let's do that first and see where we can put that other shade. Using a Sonia G, this is actually the Jumbo Blender brush. I'm going to use this top shade, the one I haven't used yet. And I'm just gonna go a little bit in the center here. This isn't gonna add much. It just adds a little bit more of a cooler, slightly gray tone to this look. So in my opinion, it still looks really nice and multi-dimensional. I did want to see how this color would look. It definitely makes the goldenness go down a little bit because I've layered it over top. So you don't have to use this shade. You could just use this shade with the green, or you could just keep it golden, or you could put some of that golden and green and leave it there. But for the sake of the video, I wanted to add a little bit more and just see how this one was actually translating on the lid. So next to the other shades, it doesn't have too much of a beefy pigment behind it. And that's typically with what you're gonna expect with Chanel. Like I said earlier, you're going to expect to layer these, even if you have the same color with a few layers, to add a little bit more of that pigment forward because it just seems a little bit soft upon layer 1. But this is exactly what Chanel shadows are like, in my opinion. It's interesting though, and I'm still a little bit like shocked that there wasn't that much fallout on my face for something so shimmery and so metallic. So this is definitely a very beautiful look for every day or for like a summer vacation. Now I was hoping to keep this video to just full face of Chanel products like new and old, but I don't have a Chanel liner. So I'm gonna use my double-ended Tom Ford liquid liner. And this is one, it's funny, I'm trying to learn this skill to do eyeliner freehand on camera, I don't know what it is, but I need to anchor my arm. So I'm gonna try my best to show you guys what I do, even though it's gonna look a little funny. But I'm gonna use my little mirror here, and I think, oh, this is perfect. I think you'll be able to see. Take it very, very slow and try to get a liquid liner like the Tom Ford, like my Holy Grail Stila, that is one that just gives you a nice flexible tip and has that opacity of ink behind it, but nothing too stiff and nothing too flimsy, right? For my lashes, I'm actually going to be using the Volume de Chanel Mascara. This is actually one that when I first bought it, I was like, I hate it. It's just because the brush is so different compared to the long bristled, fluffy brushes that I am typically used to. This one is actually short and stubby. Like tons of people were super pumped about this one. Now this is an old one. I hope it's not going to be too old, but I haven't replaced this one in a while. This mascara is definitely on its last leg. It's kind of like, you know that it's just a little bit too old. Like it does look beautiful, but it's like I finished the last bit of product in there. As soon as I started to do like a second coat, it was just like kind of dry. So this is not typical of the Volume de Chanel. It's actually a very nice formulation, but this is an old one, so it just means I have to replace it. I do like the fact, I mean, I'm going to be wearing lashes with this as well, but I do like that you start off your lashes with something like this. You can just keep it here if you want, but for me, I do want to put a little bit of a lash to kind of really amplify this look. So I'm actually going to use my velour lashes for this one, and I'm going to try my best to also show you how I apply them on camera. I'm going to be using the velour glue. This little mini guy, though, always gives me trouble because sometimes, oh, there we go, like closes it shut. Gotta be careful. So I like to make sure that this cap is actually just sort of somewhat open, and I'm gonna just slightly apply it to the rim here. I like the white glue. I've talked about the white glue before because it's sort of like it dries to a transparent. The black glue they do offer as well, but in my opinion, it is actually for experts, because if you happen to mess up, it's going to be very hard because that glue is going to smear all over your look. So I prefer to make sure I just have the transparent. It gives me a little bit more wiggle room in case I have to replace them. So we have the lashes on my right eye or your left, and you can see there's actually a significant difference. So this is in the style Would I Lie from Velour. I like Would I Lie, and I also like For Real though. Both of them are beautiful, but I'm actually gonna apply the second one now, and I am just like maneuvering this band. You can see I'm actually like kind of going back and forth, making sure it's nice and stretchy before I actually put it on my eye, so it does have that flexibility to like actually round along my lid. If you miss this step, you'll find that if you are applying and it's like a brand new set, it's actually on the stiff side, right? And you don't want that because then it's going to look a little bit unnatural. Now that both lashes are on, and I actually have the smallest mirror ever for that detailed work, I noticed the slightest amount of the green, like the olive pigment, underneath my lid a little bit. So it could just be that it's from when I applied it to the bottom lash there, but either way, I'm just gonna take a quick makeup wipe and remove that. I'm gonna add a little bit more primer under there because I did technically remove that primer. But how the primer actually sits on the skin is really nice. It does remind me of like just a cream, like a day cream. It sits on the skin really beautifully. I feel like it moisturizes well. It has a nice little slight hydrated look. It's not tacky either as it sets. So I really like that. So I wanted to just add a little bit more here because I removed it a little bit with that removal there. Let's talk about the foundation next. I'm really excited to test this one. According to this, same thing. It's enriched with that red camellia oil, maintains a youthful appearance, softens skin, provides all-day comfort. With continued use, the complexion actually appears more beautiful and radiates with a youthful glow. It's a buildable coverage, luminous finish. my kind of thing. You do get 1 full fluid ounce with this, and I really do like the outer packaging. It feels very luxurious. So I'm just pumping a little bit directly on the Beauty Blender. Oh, she flew. I was like, did that hit my shirt? No, luckily not. Okay, so shade match, pretty good, Jenna. I swear, I'm getting better and better at this. So what I like to do is start with the redness. This does feel like a medium coverage product, just kind of how it's applying. But I like to use my Beauty Blender as well. It's just like my most preferred method for applying base, so I like that. You can see that my redness has softened, but another layer will probably get it to where I want to be. So I'm going to be very careful because that other time it flew again. Oh, this is what I mean. Can you guys see? Like, look how it just splats. It's like all over my sponge. So be careful with this one. I think it's just because it's getting warmed up. First few pumps, you know, maybe there's an air bubble. Also, totally random, if you do watch me, you know I actually wear Invisalign trays because I'm trying to straighten my teeth for the second time. And don't ask, I don't know what happened. I feel like I swear the last time that I talked to my orthodontist, like after I was done my treatment when I was like 16, when I first got my braces, like traditional braces, I believe they told me that I didn't have to wear my retainers for life. They said like the first 2 years or something, and then you'll be good. So I did for the first 2 years, and then I just stopped, and clearly my teeth moved. So I was like, well, I'm not impressed with that. Please wear your retainers, because I didn't, and now I have to do it a second time. The Invisalign is definitely a little bit better because you can actually take them out. It's like not as much pain either. I remember when I was getting my traditional braces tightened, oh my gosh, it was so painful. And since they're like cemented on, it's like you live with that pain for a few days until it starts to settle in, right? This is one that once you change the tray, it's like a little tight on your teeth, but it's like very, very manageable. At least that's been my experience anyway. So I would still recommend Invisalign. But anyways, my orthodontist accidentally lost my other half of my trays. And I told you guys in a previous video that they gave me a call out of nowhere and like a miracle happened. They found them. So I didn't have to rescan or do another order to Invisalign. So very thankful for that because I did not want to deal with that. So let's see how we're looking here. So the skin is looking, there's definitely a bit of redness here underneath my eyes. I will have to probably do some concealing and stuff, but it does look like it's actually pulling a little bit warm on me. Not terribly though, but I can see, no, I think I can work with this. I think it'll be all right. For some reason I have like, I think I must have picked something there, so I will make sure I conceal that bad boy up. So I don't have any Chanel concealer either, so let's conceal this zit that I picked at some point in my life with the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear. This is heavily pigmented. You don't need that much. Like that is plenty. I'm gonna also kind of go over a little bit of my acne here. The shade I'm using for this is Buff. I'm careful with my brows as well because it is still healing pigment, so you kind of got to be careful. You can't really put foundation over top. It will mess with your final result. I do have the Chanel powder, so I'm actually going to be using that to set. I mean, you would think that all of their products are complementary and compatible, so hopefully that actually makes everything look nice. For this step, I'm using the large powder brush from Sigma. This is the F30. One of my favorites, actually. This was the very first Sigma brush that I ever picked up. And you can also use like the little puff that it comes with, but I feel like it might get dirty pretty quickly. So this is the Powder Universal from Chanel. I have translucent, no I don't. That's a lie. I have shade 30 Natural. And I'm gonna lightly pat because this goes crazy really fast. It's actually really nice. Can't complain. If you love a nice synthetic brush, the Sigma ones are really, really beautiful. I'm swirling my brush in here and I'm lightly applying just to set everything. Next, I want to do bronzer. So this is the Le Beige Chanel bronzer. This is the reformulated one. I really, really loved the original, and this is one that I actually do like as well, but I will say I don't love it as much as the original. I feel like the original is just a tad better, but my original one has expired out. This one I believe has the addition of coconut oil in it, which makes it a little bit of a different formulation. This is the BK Beauty Sponge. Love this one as well. And I'm gonna use this to apply the bronzer. I just like to go nice and steady. This gets pigmented fast. In these two new collections from Chanel, we have two blushes to try. The first one is from the Summer 2022 collection. This is the Blush Lumiere. This is in Pêche Rosé or Peach Rose, I think. My goodness. There is another color that's actually deeper, which actually looks so pretty as well. So there is a second option, but this comes in the exact same compact as the eyeshadow, and it has the nice applicator brush if you would like. And then we do have this gorgeous, gorgeous peachy orangey blush. It's so, so pretty. I really love that. Has the exact same embossment as the eyeshadows with the CC in the center and then kind of like a sunray type idea coming out of it. So it's actually really beautiful and intricate. So we are going to test that one, but I also want to test this one, which is the Combined Lip and Cheek Balm from the No.1 Camellia line from Chanel. This is so cute. It has the exact same double logo there, like the CC, just like the cream had. And this is the cream blush inside. So this is actually a lot more of a coral, I would say, compared to that really interesting like peachy orange. This one is kind of like more so my color, I would say, but we're going to be testing both. This is in the shade number 2, Healthy Pink. So first, I think I'm going to go with the cream. Sometimes the cream is nice to go first, then you can put a little bit of the powder on top. This is super opaque, so be very careful. Because this is a dual lip and cheek balm, I do worry that this one is going to be like tacky and it's not going to settle down. Sometimes when, at least personally, when I've done these combined products, I feel like they just don't settle down to a smooth, comfortable finish on the skin. It's just not my favorite feeling. If that's how it sets, like normally, I'll just use this as a lip balm because I'm not a super fan of the idea of having hair potentially get stuck in my face and my makeup. I really like the flush that it gives. It is really summery. It's really beautiful. And with this bronzer, the bronzer is quite caramelly. It's really nice and warm. So I do like how this is very summer. Overall, this is a really gorgeous look, very glowy. So far, she's a little tacky, and I'm gonna leave it for a second before I apply the powder. If you start layering blushes and the first one's kind of tacky, you gotta be careful because it might not translate well, like it might cling to the next pigment if you decide to put a powder over top. Try to let it set a little bit as much as you can before you do any other layering. So it's been a few minutes and this is actually settling down beautifully. It is slightly still tacky, but you can tell it's actually settling into the skin. So it's definitely not as sticky, but you can now, as I see, I pick out a hair out of my cheek. So it is coming down for sure. So I'm actually going to lightly try this blush over top, the Peach Rose one. Got so many Chanel goodies in front of me. It's been such a fun day. I'm gonna use the BK Beauty 106 for this and lightly tap, like the lightest. We're talking about walking on water light, just in case. Really beautiful. Wow, this is so summery. I love this. This is so nice. I'm actually going to go in. I really hope Dior is still carrying this quad. If not, I do apologize, but I'm going to go in with the Dior Backstage Glow Face Palette. This is actually in rose gold, so it's not the original OG, but I'm going to use this to highlight. I don't even have a Chanel highlight anymore, which is so sad. I don't know what happened with that one. So I am going to do maybe this rose gold here on the bottom corner and just lightly apply it over top of everything. This is also a highlighting palette from Dior that offers quite a bit of versatility. You can actually like do Maybe I'm gonna do a tap of this one. Like you can actually do quite a bit with this. Ooh, look at that. She's shiny. Perfect. So we're gonna leave it here. But it's definitely a nice glowy look. That looks so, so pretty. Using the Iconic London setting spray, I'm actually going to use this to get myself a little bit of a glow. So, so pretty. Just gonna let this set. We're not gonna move my face too much. Last step here, I think what I might do, let's try the balm, that same cheek balm. It was a lip and cheek from the Camellia line. I'm gonna see how this is on the lips as well, because I am kind of curious, but luckily with that tackiness at the beginning, it does settle down. I don't feel like it's as moisturizing as I would like. It does, I don't know, because of the tackiness, I just wish it had a little bit more slip when it comes to applying for your lips. So it's definitely possible. You can absolutely do it in a pinch, but I feel like typically how I would do a lip balm is I would just like kind of glide my finger along my lips. And this is kind of like you almost have to do a dabbing motion just because of how tacky it starts off. So I would leave it here if I wanted, for sure. I think this is a really beautiful, very summery, and like we're literally in the dead of winter and I am feeling this so much. Like I can't wait for warmth again. I'm actually going to lightly layer this Cocoa Rouge Balm. This is in the shade My Rose, and I'll see, this is really bright in tube, so I'm kind of nervous. It's not bad actually. See, this is much more my forte. It's actually really smooth. Very beautiful. I actually was kind of wondering if it's going to be too bright, but I think it works. What do you guys think of this look overall? This has definitely been so fun to test the new Chanel makeup. Don't forget to subscribe. It would mean so much to me if you enjoyed this content. And until my next one, take care and stay safe. Bye, guys.